What is up, guys? Brian here, and today I want to talk about what it's like to be an atheist in the Bible Belt, because it's definitely an interesting experience, and I want to talk about some of the challenges that I face, and I would love in the comments to hear about some of the challenges you face if you're an atheist or somebody who just isn't a Christian in the Bible Belt. The first thing that I run into is just everybody assumes that you're a Christian. There's just sort of this assumption. They just sort of talk like, oh, for sure you go to church and you must believe in God. There's not any kind of thought that, oh, you might not be a Christian. So in that sense, it's kind of interesting, and it creates this weird dynamic where you either kind of have to, you go along with it just because you don't want to like divert the conversation to being about, no, I'm actually an atheist or whatever, because whatever you're talking about is probably different than that. Or you just kind of go along to avoid dealing with drama. At least I do. I'm like, I don't feel like dealing with this. I don't want people to try and convert me. I don't want this to become a thing in my relationships. It's like, it really doesn't matter. I really couldn't care less. But there's just this weird assumption that you must be a Christian if you're living here in the Midwest, which I know for a fact, because I know many, many people who are not, that that's not the case. But there's just this funky assumption that no matter what else, you must be a Christian, and that just is what you are. The other weird thing is just how conservative a lot of people are. I am not, and I'm not just talking politics. In fact, I'm not really talking politics at all. I'm talking more just general morality, modesty, all this stuff. You know, in my day job, I'm a videographer. You know, I had somebody tell me that they thought that clients were going to be put off from me because of a certain model that I was working with regularly who also shot, you know, more explicit stuff. And that bothered me as an atheist. I found that really weird and uncomfortable, honestly. And, you know, it's like, who are you to judge who I work with, what I do? It's none of your business. And that's something that I definitely find in all sorts of areas, is just the way people are so stressed out about, overly about modesty and sex and everything. It's like, just mind your own business, people. It's, you know, let people wear what they want to wear, let people shoot what they want to shoot, let people be in relationships with who they want to be in relationships with. It's really none of your all business. So that's the second thing that I find really weird and bothersome. And another thing is, I feel like all the big holidays, you know, Easter, Christmas, there's always just this onslaught of invites to church, invites that come in the mail, you know, people trying to get butts in seats in churches, basically. And I find it very disingenuous, very weird, very uncomfortable. You know, almost a Christmas doesn't go by that I don't get at least 2 or 3 people asking me if I want to attend their church's Christmas service or their Christmas Eve service or their Easter service or whatever it might be. And, you know, I usually just politely decline. I have plans, or sometimes if I don't feel like any kind of confrontation, I'll just be like, oh, I'll see kind of what's going on, and don't show up. Because again, I don't want those confrontations with people trying to convert me or things like that. And another thing I get a lot is people equating Christianity with being a good person. Like, business people that I work with are often like, you know, I know this guy's a good Christian man and he'd be a great client for you, and da-da. And I'm like, what does being a Christian have to do with anything? There are wonderful Christians out there. Don't get me wrong. Christians who are some of the most amazing, kind, generous people out there. And there are atheists who are some of the most generous, kind, amazing people out there. And it really doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with the religion, because there are also really scummy Christians and really scummy atheists and really scummy people of every other religion and creed out there, and really wonderful people of all those creeds and religions. So it really has much more to do with your own personal morality than it does any holy book or any religion that you follow. But I definitely find there being this equating with Christians are good and other people are not, even in a lot of the business relationships that I have, which is really weird and uncomfortable for me, honestly. generally, kind of, as you can see kind of with these different examples, my experience is just being an atheist in the Midwest is kind of uncomfortable a lot of the time. There's enough times that I'm very, very uncomfortable that I want to make a video about this and kind of address this and hopefully start a conversation around this, because I know I'm nowhere near the only atheist in the Bible Belt in the Midwest in largely Christian communities that deals with a lot of this stuff. And having been a Christian, I think maybe I get a little bit more of it, because I didn't really, until I made a video not that long ago, didn't really like come out as an atheist, except talking to my mother and my sister about it, and they're both along a similar path. So, I haven't, on my social media or even in most of my relationships had that I am an atheist. I don't believe in God. I don't believe that the Bible is a source of truth. I think it's a collection of historical documents that people with a certain worldview wrote and other people put together and changed and modified. And I don't believe that Jesus is God or the Son of God or any of that stuff. If he existed, he was an apocalyptic prophet and his story just kind of got pulled out of proportion. Like, that's what I think. But I haven't, to people that I know, I haven't really gone into all of that, except for a few of the very closest people in my life. And like this YouTube channel, I'm not sharing on my social media or things like that. It's purely organic, because I don't want a lot of people in my life to, be coming after me, be throwing Bible verses at me and think I'm going to hell and try to bring me back to the faith or whatever. It's like, I don't need that shit. But at the same time, I feel like I'm being inauthentic to just kind of like go along to get along in some ways and just not ruffle the feathers. But at the same time, it's like, it's none of people's business what I believe, but it does get frustrating to not be able to be fully authentic with a lot of people. Like, as a Christian, you get very good at putting on the Sunday mask. And I feel like a lot of times I just have to put on the Sunday mask with various people in my life. Being an atheist in the Bible Belt is a tricky thing. And I'm still very much kind of learning what I'm comfortable with in that. Like, I stretched myself on Easter. I posted, it was meant to be kind of goofy, but, about I'm so happy to be celebrating Easter with zombie Jesus fighting the Easter Bunny in the North Pole with an epic duel to the death, and, posted some AI generated art of like Jesus versus the Easter Bunny with Santa in there and all kinds of crazy stuff, because I thought it was fun and funny, and I wanted to stretch my personal self and my comfort zone in kind of a light way, that if people did come after me, I could be like, hey, it's just a joke, because it is just a joke. But also was kind of like testing the waters, and it didn't get very much response. I figured it wouldn't, but it's interesting and it's weird. And I'm still very much exploring what I think about it. But I just wanted to make a little video and share. Leave your comments below if you're an atheist or other non-Christian in the Bible Belt or other highly Christianized area. I would love to read all of your stories and interact and connect. So I will catch all of you very soon.